Hi, I'm Martin Kielty from Prog Magazine. We're going to do a little interview with Andy and Jess from Solstice. We're going to talk about Sheer, their amazing new album. We're going to talk about where it came from and a little bit of where it's going to take them to. Enjoy. Hi, Andy. Hi, Jess.
Martin, hi.
Oh, that wasn't fake at all, was it?
It's so good to see you.
It's so good to be seen. I suppose we should start with the way you and I got in touch. I mean, in my official capacity as news editor of Prog Magazine, I got in touch with you to have a quick story about the new album Sheer, which led me to hear it. And I heard it, and to be honest, it didn't land properly with me first time because, of course, I was thinking it from a work perspective. I just have a scan of the album to make sure I know what I'm talking about well enough to conduct the interview and not miss anything obvious. And then I realised that wee bits in my head. And of course, it was New Day particularly. And I finally got the opportunity, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks later, maybe longer, to sit down with a drink and just lose myself in it, and had to immediately listen to it again. Started making notes for ways it made me feel. One of the poems I wrote was inspired directly by how your album made me feel. And then I wrote that email to you at 2 a.m. or whatever, just saying, I don't know you, I don't know much about the band's history, but it feels very much to me like this is the album you were here to create. This is what it's all led towards. And I think you sort of agreed with that to an extent, didn't you?
I think we've all been amazed actually at the way the album seems to resonate with people. That's partly about the time, I guess, but we did, when we started demoing it, we were doing little, we were in lockdown. So we did little lockdown videos. And we put one out of the demo of Love Is Coming. So that was the first kind of thing that we put out there, just, on YouTube and social media. And the response to that was overwhelming because I suppose people themselves were, as we are now, were locked in their room. They were contemplating life and whatever they were going through. And somehow that, as a sort of hopeful message, I suppose, really resonated with people. And we got so many responses to that, which was incredibly encouraging, because that was early on, Jess, wasn't it? I mean, that was really early on. And I think that helped fire what was happening at this end,
I think it's interesting that, to me, going back and listening to some of the earlier stuff, it very much seems to me that it's sort of, half of you must be thinking, this is what I've been saying and doing all along. Why is it suddenly landing? Because there is some sense of, your guitar style hasn't changed all that much over the years. The song construction doesn't seem to be massively different, but it is a bit like Solstice were always about this, and it's taken you people this long to catch on.
I mean, it's the album has generated and brought a lot of interest and brought a lot of people back to the subject.
Yeah.
And the thing that comes up time and again is this sort of comparison with our first album from '84, Silent Dance, and Sheer, which is debatable. And I've been kind of thinking about what the similarities are. And I mean, the context for Silent Dance was very different, first of all. That's the first thing to understand. I mean, we were, a band, but also more widely a kind of tribe of people that were living that life exclusively. We were supported by the taxpayer, and we were, but that was our entire lives. Every day, the band itself, were involved in that sort of creative process, working together, living together, and around us were a group of amazing people who were part of that experience and that were supporting it. And of course, we're talking way pre-internet. So we had, Tim Smith would be writing letters to people, that postal communication. Phil Wheel, our sound engineer, they were all part of, as I say, this tribe. So it's a very different situation. That band, everyone in that band was emotionally and creatively committed to what we were doing. Now, in the intervening years, Solstice has become something much smaller. We do a few gigs a year. We do the occasional album. It's wonderful to get together and make music. But for me, the connection is that with this lineup now, what we have is the same thing. We have a lineup, a band of people who are sort of creatively and emotionally engaged in what we're doing. So although the lineup hasn't changed very much, Jess is the key difference here. Okay. That has given me personally a lot of confidence in being truthful about the music, writing songs. So to me, that's the similarity between the band then and the band now. So then it was Sandy Lee, and now it's Jess Holland. But there's a lot that's the same in a creative sense. So I put a lot of the resulting album down to that connection between the two.
Well, Jess, let us bring you in at this. How does it feel for you coming in to a group that looks to me from the outside as if they've always had a sense of togetherness, a sense of going in a direction, a sense of they have a truth they want to express, and then you wondering, how does that feel?
It's still a bit bizarre because I haven't really properly met everybody. And it's really strange to be in this kind of band relationship where I've got to know them more as their music more than anything else. Like we've met them once for a photo shoot when we could meet, when restrictions were down, which was lovely because we all got on, and it was so strange how well it did click. But again, we've been listening to each other for months, writing sheer, recording sheer, and it was like, oh, you're the insane bass lines, you're the incredible drums that are behind all of this.
As you say, in that time, me and Jess, we know and Jenny, the fiddle player, we've known each other for a long time.
10 years. So it's a bit different there. But that was always just a case of knowing each other from different music, knowing about Solstice, but that was never brought into the environment where we spent time together and worked together. And then it was just a sense of come up, sing some vocals, see how it goes. Oh, this is really fun and this is working. Let's have another session. And then into lockdown. By that point, we realised that there was something there, I think. Definitely.
And that creative relationship has been a potent one, it really has and continues to be. But it is obviously very strange from your point of view, Jess, to not actually, you've met the guys once and the vibe was fantastic, which was great, but to have created all this stuff and not actually been in a room together ever. Yeah. That's bizarre. But it just proves actually to me that how strong and positive that sort of musical connection is, because even under those circumstances, it still feels like the most cohesive album that we've made, including Silent Dance, because we went into that with expectations. We were a band that were touring all the time. We knew what we were doing, man. And we went in there ready to lay down what we'd visualized. And, we didn't actually come out with that, but that's a whole other story. So this album does represent the vision that certainly I have and that the band, I believe, have as well. And it sounds like, I don't quite know how it's worked, but it does, and a lot of people have mentioned it does sound like a band playing together. And I think, again, that says a lot for our compatibility musically,
Yeah, especially when I was hearing drafts of like the fragments of ideas, the foundations of each track when it was first, kind of coming out of Andy's head and onto an MP3 track. And the more instruments that were added on, where people were spending time putting their part in, sometimes Andy would ask me to return to a track and put more vocals. And it was just so inspiring to hear something that started off as guitar, some humming and some singing, into, you know, the 13 minutes of utter madness. Yeah, it's like little bits of the puzzle coming together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that may have played into the success in some ways of the album, because the opportunity that lockdown presented us with was Pete could spend weeks on a drum track, rather than how it is, you go in the studio, you gotta get it out in a couple of days. He could spend a lot of time thinking, and this was great because it really allowed space for creativity for the members of the band. Steve McDaniel, the keyboard player, same thing. Weeks. He would, if you got into a track, he would spend weeks trying stuff. Same with Jess. I would get these enormous, barrage of ideas coming at me, and that's what you live for, is that creative collaboration. Everyone's got the same goal, which is to make this as good as it can be and to bring as much to the table as they can. And that's what I'm talking about that's why it connects to Silent Dance, because it was the same with that, and it's the same with this album, and hopefully the next album, which is already underway, but so I think that says a lot for it. And the intervening albums, you were right, Martin. I mean, the message and the idea behind it and the kind of the musical tropes and are all unchanged, but it's having the right people involved now, and along with having the opportunity to really indulge ourselves in what we're trying to do,